Happiness is so easy, babies can do it. They haven't learned a bunch of stuff that's not true about themselves. By Jamie Smart. Introduction. Happiness is a universal pursuit, something we all strive for in our daily lives. Yet the simplicity of happiness is often overshadowed by the complexities we create in our minds. In the words of Jamie Smart, happiness is so easy, babies can do it. They haven't learned a bunch of stuff that's not true about themselves. This quote invites us to reflect on the nature of happiness and how we, as adults, have drifted away from the ease with which we once embraced it as children. The question then becomes, what have we learned that gets in the way of our natural state of happiness? Discussion. When we talk about happiness, it's essential to consider where we believe it comes from. Many of us might think that happiness is something to be earned or found through external achievements, relationships, or material possessions. However, the reality is much simpler. Happiness comes from within. It is not something we need to chase. Rather, it is our default state, always accessible when we clear our minds of the clutter that clouds it. The metaphor of trying to hold a beach ball underwater is a perfect illustration of this concept. The beach ball's natural state is to float, just as our natural state is to be happy. It takes significant effort to hold the ball underwater, and similarly, it requires mental strain to suppress our happiness with worries, doubts, and fears. The moment we release the ball, it shoots back to the surface effortlessly, just like how our happiness resurfaces when we let go of the mental burdens we carry. But why do we hold this metaphorical ball underwater? Why do we complicate something as simple as happiness? The answer lies in the stories we tell ourselves. Stories about who we are, what we deserve, and what the world expects of us. These stories often contain falsehoods we've picked up along the way, such as the belief that we need to meet certain conditions to be happy. Babies, as Jamie Smart points out, haven't learned these untruths. They simply exist, and in their purest state, they are happy. Personal anecdote. I remember a time in my career when I would start each day by checking my work email the moment I woke up. The first thing I saw was usually the sales figures from the previous day, and I would immediately decide whether it was going to be a good or bad day based on those numbers. It was as if my happiness hinged entirely on a number on a screen. I let that number dictate my mood, and consequently, many of my days started on a negative note. Looking back, I see that this was my way of holding the beach ball underwater, letting external circumstances determine my happiness instead of recognizing that happiness was already within me, waiting to be acknowledged. Practical insights. Understanding that happiness is our natural state and not something we need to earn or achieve can be transformative. Here are a few ways to reconnect with your innate happiness. 1. Let go of the stories. Pay attention to the narratives you create about your life. Are they filled with conditions and judgments that keep you from being happy? Challenge these stories and remind yourself that happiness is not dependent on external factors. 2. Practice presence. Happiness often eludes us because we are too focused on the past or the future. Practice being present in the moment. Notice the simple joys around you, whether it's the warmth of the sun on your skin or the sound of birds chirping. 3. Start your day with intention. How you start your day can set the tone for everything that follows. Instead of diving straight into emails or social media, take a few moments to connect with yourself. Breathe, meditate, or simply reflect on something you're grateful for. 4. Observe the innocence of children. Spend time around children and observe how easily they find joy in the simplest things. Let their natural happiness remind you that you too have this innate ability within you. Reflective questions. What stories have you learned that keep you from experiencing happiness? How can you let go of the mental clutter that holds your happiness underwater? What simple practices can you incorporate into your daily routine to reconnect with your natural state of happiness? Conclusion. Happiness is not as elusive as we might think. As Jamie Smart wisely notes, it's so easy that even babies can do it. They haven't learned the falsehoods about themselves that we, as adults, often carry. By letting go of the stories and pressures that cloud our minds, we can return to our natural state of happiness. The next time you find yourself struggling to feel happy, remember the beach ball. Happiness will always rise to the surface if you just let it. So, release your grip and allow yourself to float effortlessly in the joy that is your birthright. Happiness is so easy. Babies can do it. They haven't learned a bunch of stuff that's not true about themselves. By Jamie Smart.